Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're listening to this show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, joining you yet again for another edition of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is episode 302, and this week, yes, we're going to talk a little bit about how things are heating up as the Iowa caucuses approach. Lots to talk about tonight. The show is coming again from liberal land. Yes, I'm back up in Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut to be precise. Although I have to say I'm working with some people who I think are not perhaps as liberal as we might expect, which is nice. And this is my penultimate time I think that I'll be talking to you. Right now I have one more visit scheduled in a couple of weeks' time, and then we will be done for this project. So waiting to see where I'll be going next, which part of this great country, or perhaps I should say soon to be great country, I'm going to be visiting next. However, in the meanwhile, I would like to say hi to Paul and Mary, who have just joined in the chat room. And I want to remind you, if you're listening live, and I hope you can, if you're listening to the recording, do try and join us live sometime and join us in the chat room. It's often full of good, interesting banter going backwards and forwards. And I, in between segments of the show, I also try to join in a little bit, but also take the opportunity to react to some of the things that's said in the chat room. So your opportunity to put that question, to give some comments. If you are not listening live and can't participate in the chat room, you can always send me an email. Send it to stefan@patrickcomelately.us, and I'd love to hear from my listeners. So, send me feedback, comments. If you don't like using email, go to the website, www.patrickcomelately.us, and click on the contact button. It will generate a little form where you can enter your information that way without having to use email if you so choose. Anyway, I think time to move on because we've got a lot to cover tonight. I'm going to start, first of all, a section I used to call the weekly summary, some short notes, but I think a better name for it would be short and sweet. And the first topic was something I picked off the internet. And to be very honest, just a couple of sentences, just a single phrase, but I think it does sum up the situation very clearly. And of course, this refers to Hillary Clinton, and it says Hillary couldn't stop talking about an obscure video she claimed caused Benghazi, but is surprisingly unaware of a real movie about Benghazi. And this is, of course, talking about 13 Hours, which has now opened. I am hoping to go see it next weekend when I get home from this trip, causing lots of waves, and this coming on the heels of other things which have started surfacing, even more email problems for Hillary, Could she be on the way out? Wouldn't that be interesting? I wonder what would happen. Would the Democrat Party, would the progressives really leave it to Bernie Sanders? They would find a way to somehow get someone else in the race, Joe Biden, or there's been noise that Al Gore somebody might just jump in and try and win the nomination, even at this late stage. Now, of course, a lot of problems because a lot of the states have already closed their sign up for nomination. So anyway, so I'm not interested. I am interested, but I'm not aware right now of all the intricacies of each and every state. But it could be very interesting to see what might happen if Hillary were really to go downhill and or get indicted, which would probably put her completely out of the running. Anyway, next topic. And I have to say for this one that I am disgusted at my mother country. Just the last couple of days, there has been a debate going on in the British Parliament. The British Parliament, let's think about that. I've talked about it in the past. This was the foundation, the keystone of free speech. This is where basically came out of the Magna Carta and a few other things, the Great Awakening. But can you imagine? They're debating whether Trump should be banned from entering the UK because of what he said about Muslims. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. I wish that they would pass that. They would ban him from coming into the UK and then have him elected as president. Can you imagine what an embarrassing situation that they can't even have the president of the greatest country in the world come visit them because they said they don't like what he says? And that to me really shows just how stupid they are. Now, they call what he says hate speech against Muslims, but have you heard of what that radical Islamist Anjem Choudary, I mean, what he preaches is far more venomous than anything that Donald Trump said, and yet they do absolutely nothing about him. They don't kick him out or anything. Now, he is a British citizen, so they can't kick him out. So free speech is allowed for Muslims, but not for us whites. Another example of how kooky, how PC, how totally out of control the left is, especially in the UK. Anyway, as far as I know, they didn't actually pass it, but we'll see. What next? Well, let's see. Yes, and I mentioned 13 Hours and the fact that Hillary wouldn't go to see it. Mary in the chat room said is getting very sexist here and making all sorts of innuendos about Hillary's predilections. Very interesting. But anyway, we'll see about that. Another topic. And just before this one, talking about Trump perhaps getting banned from the UK, the road to the White House is definitely a couple of steps closer, given the recent endorsement that Trump received today from nobody less than Sarah Palin. And I saw, unfortunately, I didn't see the full speech this afternoon. I was working till fairly late, but I did see some clips of the best parts this evening, and it was fiery old Sarah as of old, the way I remember her from the 2008 campaign, and I still think it's such a shame that they had McCain in didn't have a chance against Obama. I think it would have been difficult for any Republican in that year because of the color aspect of it. Unfortunately, right? Because what did Martin Luther King say? And of course, we've just come off celebrating his special day yesterday, right? But don't judge them on the color of the skin, but the content of their character. But anyway, so Palin was fiery again, and I think she would have made a great vice president. Be interesting to see whether she's going to get a role in a Trump cabinet. I sincerely hope so. And it wasn't just Palin today as well. John Wayne's daughter endorsed him and said that if John Wayne had been alive, he would have been supporting Trump. So now people today, the pundits saying, oh, but endorsements don't matter as much as they used to, and this, that, and the other. But that's when you're talking to the political elites. It may not matter there, but to ordinary people, somebody like Sarah Palin coming down squarely on someone's side makes a big difference, and especially for someone who was instrumental in helping Donald Trump's current major GOP rival into the Senate by her endorsement. This must really be a shock for Ted Cruz that she would come out for his opponent. So we'll see what's going on there. Okay, folks. Let's see some more in the short but sweet section. And there is a manufacturer in Wisconsin that I'm very happy to say has decided to stand up to strong arming by religious people. No, it's not someone who's forcing people to bake cakes for gays or anything. No, it's a company that said we cannot any longer accommodate the exact prayer times of Muslims that work in our factory. And so dozens of Muslims have basically walked off because they feel that they must do that. Now, having said that, I'm not a Islam scholar, but I happen to know that you are allowed dispensation for not being able to pray if there is a good reason for it. Like many other things, like many other religions will give you dispensation for certain things if you have to do it for whatever reason. And Islam does that as well, unless you're a hardcore extremist and will not accept that and want to force your way on your employer because it's more about exerting power over people than actually over your religion. And let's remember, when we talk about this religion, one thing that's different between this religion and pretty much all of the other worldly religions is that it is not both a religion and a political ideology. The only exception to that, I might say, might be something like Tibetan Buddhism, where the state, if you like, the head of state, the person that leads the country, is very tied up with the religion. That, of course, was the Dalai Lama. Of course, he's not the head of state of Tibet, although the Tibetan people, when they've not been displaced by the Chinese in Tibet, are still feel very much so that he is head of state, even if he's not living there. So those are really, I think, the two political religious ideologies. But what a difference between the two. One espousing hate and power over people. The other one basically espousing love and although there's a certain amount of power over people there, because in order to kind of prove yourself to Buddha, pilgrims will go for long walks, sliding on their knees for immense distances. Literally that. They'll come to the palace and they'll walk around it 100 times. That's also a little bit of forcing people to do stuff, but very different to anything that Daesh and any of the other Islamic extremists are doing, and what many, I hate to call them that, but what many middle of the road Muslims are wanting to do, and forcing us to do things like having Sharia courts and applying Sharia law over the Constitution. Those are things that are show that it is more of a political ideology. But anyway, in Wisconsin, this manufacturer said that it was disrupting their production line too much to stop it at fixed times, and that they, as an accommodation, said the people could use the scheduled break times for their praying. So, but that meant if they were scheduled to go off at 11:30 or 12:15, and prayer time, the first prayer time was at noon, then they might be half an hour early or 15 minutes late. And according to 43 of these Muslims, that is not acceptable. So anyway, be interesting to see. I'm sure the Equal Opportunity or the Department of Labor is going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, just like they did for the truck drivers that refused to drive alcohol. Again, the Quran says you shall not partake of alcohol. It doesn't say anything about driving alcohol or even being being around alcohol. It's just a very perverse interpretation of the Quran that pushes things in that direction. But anyway, the good news is that the SCOTUS has actually confirmed that the employer has a right if accommodating religious requirements has an effect on efficiency. And of the 43 employees that were affected by this, 10 have decided to stay. So it's not as if everybody has said, oh, this is impossible. 10 of them have said, no, we can live with that. And like I said, the Supreme Court has said that this is allowable. So it'll be interesting to see if the Obama regime tries to force it upon us. Anyway, I see I've gone well over time for the break, so I'm going to go to the first break here, and I will be back after these messages.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. I would like to remind you, if you like the show, please tell your friends and family about the show. I'm trying to do some education here and help you by bringing to your attention items which will, if you like, help you take a decision how you should vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I will bring things to your attention. And obviously, a lot of the time I'm focusing on the reasons why we should not vote for Hill-Liar. And we'll be coming to a bit more of that. But the other thing we need to be careful of is the elites in DC, and not just the regressive elites, but also the GOP elites. So a new topic. I want to talk about the GOP elites in DC. Well, we had last week the State of the Union address, and of course after the State of the Union address, Nikki Haley gave her speech, which, while it was, and I said at the time it was very good, other than the veiled dig at Donald Trump, or should we say the not so veiled dig. But what I didn't realize was that there was something else far more insidious about the response to the State of the Union address that was generated from the GOP, and obviously apparently the care with which the words that Nikki Haley was speaking were vetted and approved by the elites, by Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and others in the management of the party there in Washington. So, I mean, apparently it was very closely vetted, which is all the more disappointing that that they would then take that dig at Donald Trump. Right? It's the front runner of their own party, after all. But we can see. I've said before now, they're just excrement scared that they're going to lose the power, because this guy's going to come in and sweep a lot of things clean. But, so here was the insidious thing, though. Apparently, if you listened to the Spanish version of the State of the Union rebuttal by the GOP, the wording in that particular rebuttal was slightly different to the wording that Nikki Haley used. Now, given all the things that have been going around about how carefully Nikki Haley's speech was vetted, I cannot imagine that this other speech was not vetted. And obviously they can't let them go off and say two different things. So they have to kind of put the script together, decide what one's going to say, and then have it translated into the other language. And whether they start in Spanish, move to English, or start in English and translate it to Spanish doesn't matter. But they kind of have to say the same thing. So isn't it duplicitous and kind of a behind our back thing if all of a sudden the other speech in Spanish is actually different when you translate it back into English compared to what Nikki Haley said? That gives me cold shivers. Now, so what does that mean? We can't trust the GOP elite? That's what I think it is. Best case is that the person who was reading it inserted some texts of his own, but then I'm sure there would have been some rebuke, and maybe there was privately, but openly? No. Why not? Well, why not? Exactly. Now, apparently after this all came out, Nikki Haley all of a sudden started saying, well, she doesn't support amnesty, etc. But, and it is actually her herself who admitted that Speaker Ryan and Leader McConnell actually approved her script. So they must have done the same for the Spanish version. So here's a comparison, and of course I won't do the Spanish one in Spanish, but here's a comparison in English of both speeches. Not all of them, of course, but just the important part. So Haley said, no one who is willing to work hard, abide our laws, and love traditions should ever feel unwelcome in this country. The Spanish one said, no one who is willing to work hard, abide our laws, and love the United States should ever feel unwelcome in this country. It's not who we are. That's interesting. That phrase, it's not who we are, is often used any time Donald Trump says anything to do with illegal immigrants, with Muslims. It's not who we are. But anyway, so that was the first change. At the same time, that does not mean we just flat out open our borders. We can't do that. We cannot continue to allow immigrants to come here illegally. Isn't that what Donald Trump's saying? And in this age of terrorism, we must not let in refugees whose intentions cannot be determined. Excuse me, isn't that what Donald Trump is saying? But I digress. The Spanish version. At the same time, it is obvious that our immigration system needs to be reformed. At the same time, it is obvious our immigration system needs to be reformed. That doesn't sound the same as, at the same time, that does not mean we just flat out open our borders. We can't do that. We cannot continue to allow immigrants to come here legally. The changes start. So the Spanish one went on, the current system puts our national security at risk, which is kind of what Haley said, but in a very different way, and is an obstacle for our economy. Well, why would the current system be an obstacle for our economy? Oh, are they admitting that bringing in all these low-paid workers mean there's not enough people to buy the things that we used to make in America, so we have to ship it off to China to be made so people can afford it? Is that what they're realizing? I doubt that's what they meant, but that's what it sounds like to me. That's maybe one of the good things of this Spanish version. But okay, on to the next part. And Nikki Haley said, we must fix our broken immigration system. So that kind of goes back to the previous paragraph where the Diaz-Balart, who gave that rebuttal, said, at the same time, it's obvious our immigration system, where was it? It's obvious our immigration system needs to be reformed. So in the next paragraph, she says, we must fix our broken immigration system. I would agree. It takes years for people to come here. Either they come here or they don't. And all this stuff with fat chain immigration is complete BS. But okay. That means stopping illegal immigration. And that means welcoming properly vetted legal immigrants, regardless of their race or religion, just like we have for centuries. Yes, great. So all Donald Trump has to say, instead of saying we want to stop Muslims coming here, we just say we want to stop everybody coming here until they're properly vetted and come here legally. And then he's saying exactly the same as Nikki Haley. So in actual fact, maybe we're not that far apart at all. But now the Spanish version. So remember, this is what Nikki Haley said. We must fix our broken immigration system. That means stopping illegal immigration, and that means welcoming properly vetted legal immigrants. In Spanish, Diaz-Bartlett said, "It's essential that we find a legislative solution to protect our nation, defend our borders, offer a permanent and human solution to those who live in the shadows, respect the rule of law, modernize the visa system, and push the economy forward." Offer a permanent and human solution to those who live in the shadows. So did the GOP just offer amnesty to everybody in Spanish, but not in English? Is that duplicitous? Is that untrustworthy? Exactly, folks. I'm sure you agree with me, and it is unbelievable. Now, some further comments on that. So this thing that they've got this two different ways of saying something, and one being very different, is very typical, because don't forget, in June 2014, the Gang of Eight bill, Speaker Boehner was 2 days away from calling up the vote on that. They were checking whether or not they had enough votes. And what happened 2 days before that? Does anybody remember? Yep. That was the day that the Virginia primary took place, where House Majority Leader Eric Cantor was defeated. And Mario Diaz-Bartlett, who gave the GOP rebuttal, was one of the people negotiating with Paul Ryan and others, planning the pathway for this comprehensive immigration reform, as they call it, or as we constitutionalists and Tea Partyists and conservatives like to call it, amnesty. And so as soon as that happened, so they were actually discussing the timing the vote for Thursday or Friday morning. But that Tuesday, the results from the 2014 Virginia primary showed an unknown conservative outsider, Dave Bratt, had defeated Eric Cantor in the primary. At 7 p.m. Tuesday night, the first word went out that Cantor had lost. Boehner, McCarthy, and Cantor were stunned beyond belief. The next day, June 11th, that was the Wednesday, the House of Representatives was in a state of shock, and almost the entire reason for the defeat was the controversial immigration position of Cantor. So many GOP Congress people were calling Kevin McCarthy, who was the whip at the time, and revoking their positions of support for the bill. And by lunchtime on Wednesday, it was obvious the bill was dead in the House. So now we see that the GOP was on the way to granting amnesty, and they're still trying to keep it in there because they think that way they'll get the vote of the Hispanics. And there are some Hispanics who are stupid enough to want it, and I'll be very unpolitically correct and say that. But there's a lot of good Hispanics who came here by the legal path, the same way that I did, that want no part of an amnesty like that either. And like Donald Trump says, he's going to be good for black America because an amnesty like that as well would be bad for black Americans as well. And so putting up a wall, stopping the flow across our borders, and then instituting E-Verifies that the people who are here illegally cannot work is going to go a long way to making this country great again. Okay, folks, I see it's time for the next break. Stick with me while I take a sip of my adult beverage over here, and I will be right back after these messages.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. You know what? I'm going to slip in a little music here. I've been doing that over the last few shows, trying to liven things up. Not every show, because sometimes we have so much to talk about, there's not much time. But I want to slip one in. This is one I haven't played for a long time. It's by a guy called Ray Martin Saramini, if I remember rightly. But it's a great song, and it reminds us of some things. It's called Hollow Man, but I think we might even be able to apply it to Hollow Woman, thinking about a certain lady that looks as if she might be have the opportunity to live in the White House again, slipping through her fingers much as it did in 2008. So listen to this song, and I'll be right back.
He leaves you with a hollow feeling. He paints layers of bias pretension. Hawking tickets with some new pretension. His words are soft and sticky. His beady eyes are cold and tricky. A deceiver of the black hand, who's no one's friend, starts seeing through that hollow over the sleeping. His mission is to leave them weeping. He comes to town with the cameras rolling, the press distracted and the church bells tolling. Moving smooth and moving fast, with both hands grabbing the cash. Forget what he told you, don't let his teachings mold you. Just resist that hollow man. straight and torn and tattered. Show him the door. The Hollow Man.
Yes, show him the door, that Hollow Man. Well, folks, we're counting down the days. Tomorrow it will be 1 year until we are finally shot of the Emperor. Yes, we are finally rid of him. January 20th, right? Is it 20th or 21st? No, I think it's the 20th. He's gone. And if it's 21st, okay, so we got 2 days till we get that 1 year boundary, folks. I cannot wait. Okay, new topic. I said things are heating up over Iowa, so let's look at things. They are. If we look at Iowa, at the polls, Bernie Sanders apparently has caught Hillier. Well, I like what Andrea Tantaris said. She said anybody who goes to see the movie 13 Hours and comes out and votes for Hillary after that is a criminal. Maybe putting it strongly, but I think she's probably right. But anyway, so we'll see if that's part of it, the fact all these things about her emails coming to light and whether she'll get indicted. Could be interesting. In New Hampshire, apparently he's up twice as much, 60% to 33%, so just under twice as much polling. Now, New Hampshire is the state next to his state, so it's kind of home turf, so expect him to have a good turnout there. But yet, such a huge one. And then on the other hand, you know, she's still kind of leading in the national polls. But after all this stuff about her lies and everything, I can't understand why people are so stupid. And then again, I'll watch O'Reilly and see Jesse Waters interviewing people, and I realize why we're in the problems that we are. So that's interesting. Of course, the other thing is, what about all the people on the GOP side? So let's start at the bottom. You know, the Jeb Bushes that come on TV and bravely say, oh yeah, no, we're doing okay, we've got a great ground game, we're going to do okay, we're number 2. Everybody seems to be number 2 in New Hampshire behind Trump, and they're all equal at number 2, and I guess they are kind of, you know, within margin of error or whatever, but everybody's number 2 and everybody's going to continue going because everything's going great. If I were a big bucks donor, I would go to Jeb Bush and just say, okay, Jeb, tell me, how are you? Show me exactly how you're gonna win this. Because right now, anybody who's sort of got less than 10% of the vote in the polling hasn't got a hope in hell. Why are they even wasting other people's money? It's not their own money that they're wasting. The only person who's wasting their own money is Donald Trump. Now, he is getting money from small donors, but anything large, he just turns around and sends back. And so, you know, we'll see. But anyway, we're talking about the lower ones right now. So it seems that it's kind of, right now, they're talking about Trump, Cruz, Rubio being the top 3, and then a fourth one in there. Christie gets mentioned. Kasich seems to be doing very well in New Hampshire as well, but he's up in that kind of gaggle of people who they're putting at an equal second, apparently. But do you really see him being? I'm not sure. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll see what will happen. So Rubio. So what about Rubio? Well, there's always a thing which seems to have died down, but he's not jockeying with Trump, because I know as soon as he starts jockeying with Trump, it's going to come up, is what about his loans? And not so much the loans, but kind of the imprudent financial decisions that he seems to have made. Why is nobody talking about that? He's going to kind of run the country. If he can't run his own finances, can he run the country's finances? So we'll have to wait and see about that. Anyway, Rex, I see that you have arrived. So anyway, let's welcome Rex, but you've come just in time for a commercial. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we're going to talk about, I guess, it looks like the final topic is Cruz, and then some of the other things that have happened to Trump this week as we get closer to the Iowa caucuses.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-296-3006.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And welcome back to the final segment of the show. This is Stephanie or Patrick Come Lately. We are in the last few minutes of episode 302. I want to thank those of you that are listening live, and especially in the chat room, Rex, Mary, and Paul. Thanks for coming. It's always nice to see people are actually listening to the live show. I do appreciate that most of my listeners actually listen to the recordings, but I thank them for that as well. But if you can, make the effort and come and join us live sometime and partake in the chat room. It's great fun. But if you're not listening live and you do want to give your feedback, give your comments, ask me questions, you can do that at stefan@patrickcomelately.us. Yes, send me an email. I will reply to your email, and I will also try to reply on a future show. On top of that, if you don't like using email, you can go to www.patrickcomelately.us, the website. There's a contact button there. Click on that, and you can send a message to me that way as well. And once again, I will say, please share this with your friends. We need to educate as many people as possible, especially those that are still sitting on the fence. We cannot afford a Hillary. We can't afford a Bernie Sanders. And we can't afford a Joe Biden or an Al Gore or whoever may step in when Hillary gets indicted. Oh, did I say when? If? Right? She's innocent until proven guilty. So we've got to say if she gets indicted. And it's also if she gets indicted, because remember, right, there's no bank too big to fail, and there's no person too big to fail, her own words, but she's going to make sure that she keeps herself from failing by preventing justice being done. I'm sure of that. Okay, let's see. So we've got a little bit of time left. I want to talk about the Ted Cruz, Donald Trump dust-up, about Ted Cruz's citizenship. Is he or is he not a natural-born citizen? Now, a lot of discussions every which way. I know even Mark Levin's kind of jumped in and said, stop this stupid stuff, let's get on with other things. And I agree to a certain extent we need to focus on the issues, because there's plenty of issues need focusing on, and Donald's very good at that. On the other hand, we also need to be cognizant that there are some questions which need answering about Ted Cruz's citizenship. I mean, we've been yelling about Obama's possible non-citizenship. So why should we stop now? Because we're fair and equal, right? And if we do that for Obama, we should do it for our own. So here we are. So there are some issues. People say, well, he was born of an American mother in Canada. Well, there's a number of things about that. First of all, when he was born in Canada, there was a law which came into effect 1947, and he was born in 70, I believe, which said that Canadian citizens couldn't have dual citizenship. And if you were born in, but it did say if you were born in Canada, you were automatically a Canadian. So legally, Canada is saying if you're born here and you have Canadian citizenship, you cannot be American. Now, so for Ted Cruz to have become a citizen at birth, his mother would have had to have retained exclusive citizenship to the U.S. and filed a consular report of birth abroad to obtain exclusive U.S. citizenship at the time for her son and renounce his automatically acquired Canadian citizenship. She did not do that because he renounced it about 15 months ago. So, folks, a lot of questions there. The other question is the fact that because she was married to a Canadian, someone who took Canadian citizenship in 1968, 2 years before Ted Cruz was born, and she was married to him, she lost her American citizenship. She's not an American when he was born. Think about that, folks. That's why Donald Trump was right. He didn't say he's not an American citizen. He said it needs to be reviewed and legally judged. Anyway, folks, I see the clock's run away with me. It's time to say TTFN. Folks, it was nice talking to you. Come back again next week. We're going to have more fun next week. Tell your friends. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.